I joined the Marines in 1967. I trained as a 0311 infantryman and sent to Vietnam after training. My time in the Vietnam War was hell. I lost quite a few friends over there. It seemed I was on combat missions almost daily. I'm still thankful that I'm even here to talk about it. When I first arrived in country, I was operating out near a Marine Air Group area, running patrols intended to keep the enemy from launching rockets. Those patrols were the worst at night. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face. We'd hear rockets go up. Sometimes they hit, sometimes they didn't, and we'd move toward where we thought the enemy had been. But they could disappear unbelievably fast. You'd get there and find nothing. No bodies, no enemy. Just a bad feeling. You learn quickly in Vietnam that you can't walk wherever you want. Booby traps are everywhere. You learn to watch the ground, watch the shoulders of trails, stay off the obvious paths. You learn that tunnels and spider holes aren't stories. They're real, and they're everywhere. The first time bullets came in, I learned something I still can't describe properly. Your whole body changes. It accelerates. Your mind gets sharper and narrower at the same time. You have to stay calm. You have to stay cool. And it's not easy, because when men start getting hit, everything becomes different. Anybody who says they weren't scared is lying. You're scared. You're always aware you can die or get wounded. But you can't keep it in your head all day or you'll crack. So you live day to day. I was carrying the M14 then. Good weapon, heavy weapon. Too heavy in the field. You couldn't carry enough ammo. We had the M60 machine gun, the M79 grenade launcher, the blooper. Over time, we took casualties, and I ended up with India Company, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. I moved up fast because I could read a map, I could keep track of positions, and I could keep the men organized. I had good men with me. One operation stays with me more than most. We went out as a blocking force. The landing was easy. No resistance. And then we heard it. Heavy firing in the distance. Machine guns. The sound carried. A lieutenant gave me orders over the radio. Move my squad out as point and push toward the fighting. We moved in a wedge formation. Fire teams spread out. We crossed open ground toward a tree line. I didn't like the area. I had a bad feeling about it. The moment we hit that tree line, all hell broke loose. Two men were hit almost immediately. One man's hand was blown apart. The fire was heavy, and it came from positions that were dug in and prepared. We returned fire and tried to spread out, because that's what they teach you. Spacing keeps more than one man from going down at the same time. I sent men across in groups, 3 at a time. I kept my radio man separated from me, because if we both got hit, we'd lose communications entirely, and then we'd be blind. When I moved again with 2 men, rounds snapped past my head so close I could hear the crack on both sides. Then I was on the ground. I thought I was dead for a moment, but I wasn't. 2 men near me took rounds to the head. One was gone. The other was beyond help. The corpsman didn't have to say anything. You could see it in his face. We called in artillery. We adjusted it by compass and distance and walked it onto the enemy positions. White phosphorus, variable time, air bursts. We were close enough that shrapnel was flying over us, but it stopped the enemy from overrunning our point. And then later, when it was finally quiet and I was alone, It hit me. 2 dead. Wounded. Blood. The weight of making decisions when you're barely old enough to be making any. The patrols went on. Day patrols. Night patrols. You moved by compass and checkpoints. You'd call in each checkpoint so the command knew where you were. Combat wasn't always big battles. Sometimes it was just being popped at shots from a tree line, from a hedgerow, from a ditch, and then silence again. Sometimes it was an ambush. Sometimes it was a night attack and illumination turning the jungle into daylight for a few seconds, long enough to see enemy troops moving toward you. When medevacs came in, you protected them with everything you had. Smoke grenades marked the landing zone. Guns stayed hot. You fired to keep heads down while the wounded went aboard. Those helicopter crews saved lives. The corpsmen did too. Men who could do surgery in the mud if they had to. The Viet Cong were different from the North Vietnamese regulars. The Viet Cong would strike and fade. The NVA would hold longer, fight harder, stay in position. But the hardest part was the same no matter who it was. You often couldn't see them until they fired. You also couldn't always tell who was who in a village. Civilians were stuck in the middle of it. Sometimes they helped one side because they had no choice. Sometimes you could feel the hostility. Sometimes you couldn't feel anything at all. The war didn't give clear answers. I was shot with only a few weeks left in country. You never hear the round that hits you. One moment you're up, the next you're down. At first they bandaged it and thought it would be fine. Then it got infected. I was moved through hospitals, treated, packed in ice, flown out. Recovery took time, and the war didn't just end because I left the field. Tet was another moment that proved how fast everything could change. People talked about ceasefires. Then all hell broke loose across the country. You did what you were told, and you tried to stay alive. When I came home, it was worse in a different way. We weren't treated like heroes. Some people called us names. Some people looked at us like we were something dirty. A lot of my friends had never served. They couldn't understand it. They didn't know what it meant to depend on the man next to you for your life, or what it felt like to see a man killed and still have to move. I didn't drink much. I didn't do drugs. I tried to keep myself straight. But the memories stayed, flashbacks, a mind that wouldn't settle down. Some things get better with time, some things don't. If there's one thing I'd tell another veteran, it's this. Don't keep it inside. Get help. Find someone who understands it, or at least listens long enough for you to say it out loud. War is ugly. It isn't what the movies show. And it doesn't always end when you come home, but you can survive it. And you can still build a life after it, if you don't try to carry it alone.